Welcome back to Let Me Recommend, where I give you 3 films that I've seen recently, or films that I'd like to speak about in that episode. Let me recommend Extraction 2. Tasked with extracting a family who is at the mercy of a Georgian gangster, Tyler Rake infiltrates one of the world's deadliest prisons in order to save them. But when the extraction gets hot and the gangster dies in the heat of battle, his equally ruthless brother tracks down Rake and his team to Vienna in order to get revenge. This is the sequel to Extraction, which came out in 2020 and became one of Netflix's greatest successes. So it is inevitable that we got a sequel with Extraction 2. I have a fondness for the first film. It may not be the most layered or complex film, but it has everything I want from an action movie like this. And so I was extremely excited for the sequel, as it looked like more of the same. And luckily it is, this time with more of a wintry aesthetic to it. I personally really enjoyed the color palette of the first film. It was a very overly yellow looking film, which honestly just kind of worked for me. Extraction 2, however, is much more blue, which when done well, like in the opening and the prison escape, look great, but later on in the film, the colors can feel slightly stagnant, as it can look a bit grey and boring. But this may just be my first Extraction bias creeping in. But the focus of this film isn't on the colour. You watch these films for the action. Story, plot, and depth aren't why you see Extraction or Extraction 2. The action of Extraction is incredible. The combination of the one takes, the choreography, Chris Hemsworth, and yes, even the one-liners, which don't always land, make for a fantastic thrill ride. The story plays a bigger role in this one than it did in the last one, and for some people that may work, but I found the story more of a nuisance rather than a positive. I just don't really care about the family or the evil brother's story. I think the first film's bare bones story actually works better, but people are more positive on this second film, so maybe it is just a me thing. The action is really why you watch these though. The actual prison escape was handled really well. It was honestly the best part of the film, but was followed by another fantastic action set piece, this time on a moving train. This movie does have the slight issue of being a decrescendo, as the best action happens at the beginning and doesn't reach that peak again by the end of the film. But overall, this is a really solid action film, one I had a lot of fun with, and is a series of films that I have a lot of fun with. Tyler Rake is a great action hero, and I can't wait for the inevitable Extraction 3. So check it out on Netflix. It's also recommended that you watch the first Extraction, first. Let me recommend The Thing. Now, this is a classic, and most likely if you're into film, you've seen it, or at least know about it. But if you haven't seen it yet, or haven't heard of it, let me recommend it. In remote Antarctica, a group of American research scientists are disturbed at their base camp by a helicopter shooting at a sled dog. When they take in the dog, it brutally attacks both human beings and canines, and they discover that the beast can assume the shape of its victims. A resourceful helicopter pilot and the camp doctor lead the camp crew in a desperate, gory battle against the vicious creature before it picks them off one by one. Right off the bat, this is pretty much a perfect film. It does everything it needs to extremely well. Really tense when it wants to be, horrifying and gruesome when it needs to be. I mean, it's a classic for a reason, and it's one I think anyone can have fun with. Obviously, the practical effects of the creature are fantastic. I'm personally a massive fan of practical effects, even though I don't find this kind of horror scary. I can really appreciate what they've done here. It's the same sort of thing with the Evil Dead films. I don't find it scary, but when you're wincing at the screen, you know something is being done right. Kurt Russell as RJ McCready is a great protagonist. He's not exactly a hero and kind of just wants to drink alone, but is constantly being dragged back into the drama of The Thing. There really isn't a whole lot I can say about this film, as everything is just working on all fronts and makes for a fantastic film. What I can say is, if you are struggling for something to watch, and this looks like your thing, see what I did there? Please check this one out, and if you have seen it, but haven't seen it in a while, give it a rewatch. It's not streaming anywhere currently, but it is available to rent or buy from wherever you do that. I'm an Amazon guy personally, so yeah, I just bought this on Amazon. Let me recommend the Meyerowitz stories, New and Selected. An estranged family gathers together in New York for an event celebrating the artistic work of their father. This is from director Noah Baumbach, who you may know from films like Marriage Story, Frances Ha, and most recently White Noise. The Meyerowitz stories, New and Selected, is more Marriage Story than White Noise, however, and really leans into his strengths as a director, giving us smaller, more down-to-earth, character-focused films about human connection. And that's really what this film is. It is a collection of scenes, moments, and characters who struggle with connection. But it's also about finding that connection between each other. Taken individually, these scenes are good, funny, and occasionally heartbreaking. But by the end of this film, it paints a portrait of family which makes it better than the sum of its parts. I say this because it can at times just feel like a collection of quirky scenes and character outbursts. But this film is a lot more than that. The performances of this are a real standout, as we have a plethora of incredible actors here, especially comedic actors like Adam Sandler, Ben Stiller, Dustin Hoffman, Emma Thompson, and many others. The two standouts probably being Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller, who both give surprisingly good dramatic performances, while, as expected, delivering great comedic performances within the film. Don't sleep on Adam Sandler. He's proved himself as a dramatic actor one too many times. This movie is just really beautiful. From the direction, to the score, to the up-close and personal visuals, the cinematography of this film is very personal. A lot of the time we're slightly closer than need be, and it works so nicely for what this film has to say. So if you're in the mood for a good mix of comedy and drama and haven't checked it out, let me recommend it. It is available to stream on Netflix, so you can watch it anytime. And that's episode 3. Don't forget to share this video, give it a like and subscribe if you haven't yet, turn on the notification bell so you get notified when I upload, and I guess that's goodbye for now.